Namaste, students, and a very warm welcome. Have you ever looked at a map of India and just wondered, how did our states get their boundaries? The map we see today didn't just appear overnight, right? It's the result of decades of intense debate, struggle, and some really careful constitutional planning. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the whole story of India's union and its territory. Trust me, this is a super crucial topic for your competitive exams. So let's begin.
All right, so where do we even start? Let's go straight to the source, the Constitution itself. What does Article 1 say? It says, and I quote, "India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states." Now this single line, it's pure gold from an exam point of view. It makes two things crystal clear. First, the name of the country. Both India and Bharat are officially used. And second, the type of polity our country has. It's a union of states.
And here you can see the actual source notes. Look closely, it's written right there. Article 1, Union of State, India, that is Bharat. You see, our constitution makers, they chose every single word very, very carefully. And their choice of the word union, well, that was extremely deliberate. So this raises a really important question. Why union of states? Why not a federation of states like they have in the US? Well, the crucial difference is this. India is a union, not a federation, for two big reasons. First, the Indian Union isn't the result of some agreement between the states. And second, and this is the most important part, no state has the right to secede or break away from the Union. They simply cannot leave.
Okay, so we've established that India is a union of states. The next logical question has to be, right? Who actually has the power to change the boundaries of these states? Let's dive in and explore how India's political map can actually be redrawn.
So just think about it for a second. If you wanted to create a new state or just change the boundary of an existing one, who has that power? Is it the president, the state legislature, or some other body altogether?
And the answer is the Parliament of India. All of this power is granted to the Indian Parliament under Article 3 of the Constitution. You have to remember this one, it's a direct question in exams. The ultimate power to redraw the map of India lies with the Parliament. Simple as that. So, what exactly can the Parliament do under Article 3? Let's break it down into 5 key powers. 1. It can form a brand new state. 2. It can increase the area of any state. 3. It can diminish or reduce the area of any state. 4. It can alter the boundaries of any state. And 5. It can even alter the name of any state. Essentially, the Parliament has complete control.
And here comes an absolutely critical point for your exams, so pay close attention. To do all of this, Parliament doesn't need a special majority, like a 2/3 majority. Nope. All it needs is a simple majority. That's just more than 50% of the members present and voting. That's it. And because of this, it's not even considered a constitutional amendment under Article 368. Super important to remember that.
So, we know the Parliament has the power, and we know it's relatively easy to use it. But when did this power face its biggest challenge? Well, it was right after independence, when a massive demand started sweeping across the country, a demand to create states on a linguistic basis, or based on language.
Now, the journey of how this demand was handled is incredibly important. Let's walk through the timeline. It starts in June 1948 with the First Linguistic Provinces Commission, also known as the Dhar Commission. Then, in December 1948, after its report, the JVP Committee was formed. Then comes 1953 and a huge turning point, the death of Poti Sriramalu. This led directly to the creation of India's first linguistic state, Andhra, in October 1953. And right after that, to find a permanent solution, the Fazal Ali Commission was set up in December 1953.
Initially, the government was dead set against the idea of linguistic states. And you have to ask, why? Well, think about it. The country had just gone through the trauma of partition. The leaders were terrified that creating states based on language could lead to even more fragmentation. That's why the Dhar Commission in 1948 clearly recommended organizing states based on administrative convenience, not language. Following that, the famous JVP Committee, that's Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and Padabhai Sitaramaiah, they also postponed the idea, prioritizing national unity above all else.
But then came the turning points. A veteran Congress leader, Poti Sriramalu, began a hunger strike demanding a separate state for Telugu-speaking people, which would be called Andhra. After 56 days of fasting, he passed away. His death triggered widespread protests across the Andhra region, and the government was forced to act. In October 1953, they had to create the first linguistic state, Andhra Pradesh. Once Andhra Pradesh was created, well, the floodgates opened. Similar demands started popping up from other regions too. To find a permanent solution to this growing problem, the government set up the Fazal Commission. And it was the recommendations of this very commission that led to the landmark States Reorganizations Act of 1956.
So the solution came from the Fazal Commission. And what they did was quite clever. They found a middle path. On one hand, they accepted that yes, language could be a valid basis for reorganizing states. They acknowledged the demand, but, and this is a big but, they completely rejected the theory of one language, one state. They made it clear that the unity and integrity of the country had to be the top priority.
It was based on these balanced recommendations that the Parliament passed a truly historic piece of legislation, the States Reorganization Act of 1956. And this one act completely changed the internal map of India forever.
With this single act, that incredibly complex post-independence map, the one with all the British provinces and over 500 princely states, was simplified into a brand new structure, starting with 14 states.
And 6 union territories. Now, these numbers are a classic exam question, so make sure you lock them in your memory. In 1956, the map of India was redrawn into 14 states and 6 union territories.
And as you can clearly see in these source notes again, the final result of the 1956 reorganization was exactly that, 14 states and 6 union territories. This act truly laid the foundation for the political map of modern India.
So, after this entire story, what's the big takeaway? What is the core principle of India's unique structure? Let's boil it all down to the single most important idea.
The crucial point, the one line that summarizes everything, is this. India is an imperishable union of perishable states. What does that mean? It means the Union of India itself cannot be destroyed. It's imperishable, it's indivisible. But the states, their boundaries, their names, their area, even their very existence, can be changed by the Parliament. That's why the states are considered perishable. And that, right there, is the very essence of our union.
And that brings us to the end of this explainer. अगर आपको ये वीडियो हेल्पफुल लगी हो तो लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें और कमेंट करके बताएं अगर आप किसी स्पेसिफिक टॉपिक पे वीडियो चाहते हैं. See you in the next one. Keep